Not only did the last congregation at 8:30 do a lousy job with the children's sermon about saints, but they didn't do much better with this one. Let me see if you guys do a better job. You ready? Have you noticed that the Bible is filled with commands? Do this, don't do that, live this way, have these thoughts, worship this God, and on and on and on. Let me ask you a question. Of all of the commands the Bible ever gave, which one do you think is the most common? Which one do you think is the one that's most prevalent in the Bible? Anybody want to guess? Love your neighbor as yourself. That's a great one, but it's wrong. You just heard it. I heard it over here and over here. 4 words. Do not be afraid. The word fear and all of its derivatives can be found in the Bible more than 600 times. Abraham, get your family together and go to the land that I'm going to give to you. I'm going to make of you a great nation. Go on, Abraham. Do not be afraid. Moses, I have heard the affliction of my people. I'm going to work through you to bring those people out of Egypt. And Moses was so scared to death, folks, he couldn't even look at God. Mary, Mary, I want you to give birth to my son, and I want you to call his name Jesus. I know what you're thinking, Mary. Don't be afraid. Fear. Folks, I'm talking bone-chilling, paralyzing, life-altering fear. You know that I know, and I know that you know what I'm talking about is correct because the territory is so familiar. A job is lost, and we are afraid of financial ruin. A lump is found, and we are fearful of the worst. A ministry is brand new and started, and we're scared to death of change. It was, of course, those of you who are old enough to remember, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who said, "You have nothing to fear but fear itself." Well, I got to tell you, folks, that might be right. But you know as well as I do that fear can suck the life right out of you, because there's nothing more paralyzing than fear. Fear is what can take those 2 little words, inaction, and make them 1 word, inaction, faster than anything I've ever known. The next time you're afraid, pay attention to how paralyzed you feel. In his book, Facing Your Giants, Max Lucado retells the story of David and Goliath. And he makes the point that we all of us have and are afraid of Goliath. Is there a Goliath in your life? Who's the biggest? What's the biggest Goliath right now for you? Says Lucado, and I quote, "That Goliath brings with him or her or it bills we can't pay, tests we can't pass, people we can't please. It brings with us a career that we can't escape, a past that we can't shake, and a future that we can't solve. It brings with us pornography that we can't resist and whiskey that we can't give up." Fear. I'm talking bone-chilling fear. All of us have tasted it. Some of us are tasting it now. And the God of the Bible says, what 4 words? Do not be afraid. You trust me, and I will help you destroy your Goliaths and overcome your fears. Abraham trusted, and his descendants became as numerous as the stars in the sky. Moses trusted, and Moses, do you remember, walked untouched through that same sea that destroyed the Egyptian army. Mary trusted, and she gave birth to God's Son, and Mary to this day has probably been remembered as the greatest disciple of them all. Folks, in spite of all the devastating evidence to the contrary, the Bible says that a God that we worship can defeat any Goliath, no matter how big, overcome any fear, no matter how paralyzing. Do you believe that? Let me ask that a question again. Do you believe that? There are an awful lot of people out there who don't. A lot of people out there believe that God is either dead or impotent or non-existent, and that Goliath has gotten so big, so fearsome, that God, even if he did exist, couldn't do anything about it. Which is one of the reasons why they're not here today. Why come to church when the God of the church is no longer in the miracle business? What do you think? Why in heaven's name are you here? Let's get right to the point. I think it all ends in one question, and I think it's the most important question you and I will ever ask. It's this one, and I'm going to say it twice. Do we trust our God more than we fear our Goliath? Do we trust our God more than we fear our Goliath? Do we? If the answer is yes, then the Bible invites us to live it, to share it, to have the confidence to do what David did. You remember what David did in his Goliath? He stood toe-to-toe, face-to-face with Goliath, and he said, I know you have come with spear and shield, but I come to you in the name of the living God, and because of that, there's not a Goliath on earth that can stop me. If we trust our God, why can't we live with that kind of confidence? If we trust our God more than we fear our Goliaths, we can live generous, extravagantly generous lives of giving and love. Why shouldn't we? I mean, most of us are squirreling away our financial resources because we're not sure that anybody will protect us when we get old. But if we believe that God will, and if we believe that you can't outgive God, and the more we give generously and extravagantly to care for people, the more God will bless us. Therefore, we can live extravagantly giving lives if we trust Him. If we trust God more than we fear our Goliaths, aren't we free to become the people that we already are? Aren't those shackles gone? And we are free because, as Paul says, even death has lost its sting. Who is your Goliath? What's it look like? What's her name? His name. What hold does he or she or it right now, in this moment, in this place, have on your life? Let me ask the question one more time. Do we trust our God more than we fear our Goliaths? Well, do we?